To a key player in all of this, incoming border czar Tom Homan joins me now. Tom, great to see you again. Appreciate you coming on. Let's talk about the border wall, first of all. We'll get to our foreign neighbors in a moment. But the idea that the Biden administration was selling off for pennies on the dollar border wall parts that we, the taxpayers, already paid for, and then presumably they'd be sold back to the Trump administration later on. In other words, taxpayers are paying more than double for this. It's infuriating people. Have we at least stopped that process?
Yes, we have. And the courts have ordered them to stop. And, you know, it's disgusting that they're going to take that border wall, which, like you just said, we pay top dollar for, and selling it for pennies on the dollar. Now we got to rebuy it. It's ridiculous. However, a little bit of good news. One of the companies actually reached out to me, willing to give us that border wall products back at what they paid for it, the pennies on the dollar, giving us back for the same price. So I think Ken Paxton, the AG in Texas, took immediate action. I know I've been working with Lindsey Graham, taking immediate action. So right now I think we got them stopped. But it's insulting. They wait 4 years just before we take control to sell a main piece of our plan to secure that border.
Nasty piece of work. I'm glad it stopped. Let's talk about what's happening with our neighbors, because Donald Trump certainly got the attention of both our northern and southern neighbors, both of whom have now been talking, reacting to what Trump's been saying. How's that working out? And in particular with regard to the old Remain in Mexico policy that Trump used very effectively in his first term to close the border.
Look, the Mexican government's already taken some actions to stop some of the caravans coming up. I think it's very promising. The discussions with Canada and Mexico, they've already taken steps. And like Canada, I mean, within 2 days of the Trudeau meeting, the foreign minister got a hold of me talking about what they can do to, you know, make the northern border more secure. So I think President Trump's actions are doing exactly what he intended to do. Bring our neighbors to the table to talk about securing our border and saving lives, both on their border and our border. So I think President Trump is a genius for reaching out to these countries, even before he takes office, to address border security.
Well, that's
it's already
the point.
having an effect.
I have never seen, you've got a lot of experience in the federal government. I've never seen a case where foreign policy has been arranged before a person has actually been inaugurated as president. Have you?
Yeah. Look, we're not waiting. I've already been to the border several times. I've already met with Governor Abbott what we can do for Texas. I met with National Sheriff's Association when they can do it for us. I've talked to the Foreign Minister of Canada. You know, and I've been out to Arizona talking to the sheriffs out there. So we're not waiting for January 20th. We're going to try to secure the border as quick as we can. We're already started working on those plans.
Now, you may have gotten the attention of our foreign neighbors, north and south, but you still haven't gotten the full attention of a lot of the cities, the sanctuary cities and states in the United States. And we just had a recent example of it with the the Brooklyn DA not dealing with a detaining order from ICE for this horrific crime that took place last Sunday, where a woman was burnt to death allegedly by an illegal alien who's now the suspect in the case. ICE put a detainer on him, and it wasn't accepted by the Brooklyn DA. What's going on with that?
You know, I had a meeting with Mayor Adams a few weeks ago. Mayor Adams says he wants to come to the table and work with us on public safety threats, and he's committed to doing that and getting us back into Rikers Island through executive action. He's also willing to help us find over 300,000 missing children, that many are in New York City. But, you know, he was very, you know, honest with me, saying he's got a city council he needs to deal with, and he's going to do what he can through executive order. But I'm hoping he's a man of his word. He's going and push for the actions that we discussed that day. Any elected official, even the district attorney, anybody in that city, you should want to remove public safety threats from your communities. That's your number one responsibility, is protect your communities. We want to help you do that. If you don't want to help us get out of the way, we'll come and do it for you. But we're going to do it. We're going to run this operation in New York City and every sanctuary city across the country. We're coming.
Well, we've seen the worst of the worst. I mean, people who were accused of child rape up in Boston, because that's a sanctuary city. They wouldn't, the cops there couldn't cooperate with you. ICE had to go in and do it on their own. Thank God they got a couple of them, but who knows how many of them are still roaming around. Finally, I just want to deal with this question of unaccompanied children. Over 300,000 of them who just disappeared from HHS's rolls of unaccompanied children. Where they are, we don't know. We do know that there are these smuggling rings that essentially put them into slave labor, horrific slave labor in the case of some sexual uses for these children. I mean, is there any way, is that one of your top priorities, and how do you find out where these kids have gone?
Well, absolutely. President Trump has three priorities. One, secure the border. Second, run this deportation operation. And the same day, day one, start looking for over 300,000 missing children. And in my 3.5 decades doing this job, I'm telling you right now, some of these children are sex trafficking. Some are in forced labor. We already found some in forced labor. We got to save these children. But it's going to be a hard task because you and I both have a footprint, right? We have a digital footprint. We own homes, we own cars, we pay bills, we got utilities bills and so forth. We got a digital footprint. Children don't. So we got to rely on the digital footprint of unvetted sponsors that weren't fingerprinted in many cases, sponsors that weren't verified, the identification they were using was accurate. So it's going to be a tough haul, but we're going to ask American people to step up and help us.
Yes.
Parents across this country, they have an innate ability to recognize when something's not right with a child. So we're going to send some messages out to American people to help us find these children, whether they're in the workplace or whether if something just ain't right when you see a child with an adult. Let us know what you see. If that one phone call out of 1,000 saves a child, it's well worth it. So we're going to do everything we can to find these children. That is a major priority of the Trump administration, to find and save these children.
It should be a priority of every American. Again, if you see something that's suspicious, you got to let people know, because this is God's work, that protecting our kids, protecting other people's kids as well. They're all really our children. They're here. We may not like the way they came in, but we got to protect them from the slavery that they've been subjected to. Really good stuff, Tom. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, President-elect